So I was left a comment on one of my videos to do a little book show and tell. So I have some next to me, 8 altogether. But obviously this isn't all that's on my bookshelf, but it's just a couple from each layer on my shelf. So the first one I'm going to show you is this one. I got it at a secondhand shop. So as you can see, it's really old. It's all torn on the edges. It has the name of the last person who owned it. They annotated a little bit, or rather just checked a couple of poems throughout that they enjoyed. It's really nice, and it's got, oh, that's a bookmark. I was reading Emily Dickinson a while back. But yeah, I have marks on some of it as well, because I was trying to teach myself about poetry. I was marking the number of syllables in each line. But so there's William Shakespeare, John Donne, Alexander Pope, William Wordsworth, John Keats, Robert Browning, Emily Dickinson, A.E. Housman, William Butler Yeats, Edwin Arlington Robinson, Robert Frost, and T.S. Eliot. It's really dusty because it's quite old. I see how 1967. So this one is from 1967. So I'm gonna put that to the side. This one is fairly new. I actually haven't read it in the physical copy form, but I originally listened to it in audiobook, and I really liked it, and I wanted my own copy. It's called The Other Bennet Sister. It's about Mary Bennet. So the first part of it is like Pride and Prejudice, but through Mary Bennet's eyes. And then after, the rest of the book is like finishing her story, or like what happened to her afterwards, because in the book it just said that she was living with her parents and that was it. But she gets her own sort of fairy tale, not fairy tale, but her own love story and character development and all that. It's really interesting, and I enjoyed it. It was this book. It's kind of like it does feel kind of like it's an extension of the book. Like it keeps the sort of tone and energy of the story. It doesn't feel like out of place, if that makes any sense. Like it matches the story well. I really like this one. And then next one I have is The Magical Worlds of the Lord of the Rings, The Amazing Myths, Legends, and Facts Behind the Masterpiece by David Colbert. Oh, I should also say, this one was by Janice Hadlow. But, this one's by David Colbert, or Colbert, I don't know how you say it. But it's got sort of like, I guess factoids about Tolkien and things that inspired him while he was writing the story and world building, inventing languages and the things that inspired him, but also gives details that are sort of like, what is it? I think it's the Silmarillion, stuff that's from the Silmarillion, like the backstory behind like Gandalf and Galadriel, the different monsters and characters, and it's just got little facts about the Lord of the Rings and other things related to Tolkien and his upbringing and what inspired him to be interested in mythologies and fairy tales, and does all that. It's interesting. And this one, I picked up Jane Eyre, which I've had for a while, this copy, but it was my favorite. I was like obsessed with it. I don't know if it's like the undiagnosed autism or what from my childhood, but I was obsessed with the story for some reason. Kind of like in hindsight, it's like a little bit unhinged, but still really like it. It's one of my favorites. And that monologue that she's got in that scene, what was it? When Rochester is proposing to her. And then she's got this like thing that she says. Yeah, it's my favorite. This story. I was gonna take out Frankenstein, but I've been reading that for a while, so you know I have that one. But Frankenstein is another one I carry around all the time when I was in high school. This one, also one of my favorites, Letters of Mozart. It made me have a giant crush on Mozart. So these are a bunch of letters that Mozart wrote to his friends and family, his wife. Also, they're about family members in his life and just different things going on. Some of it is just little things, I guess. Like he would listen to a performer and then he's like sort of critiquing their performances and stuff. Like this one to his cousin. What did I mark? 171 to 05. Let me look at 171. I don't know what I marked. It is the heart which ennobles the man, and though I am not a count, my honor is as valuable, perhaps more valuable than that of many a count. Count or lackey, if he abuses me, he is a scoundrel. So I marked that once. Yeah, just like little things. I had a giant crush on Mozart after I read this. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I got this also at a secondhand thing, like a library book sale. And then the next one is a two-part one. They're biographies. Or not biography, autobiography, memoirs from Julie Andrews. So this first one is about her early years in her childhood, just up to when she started making film. And then this one is later on when it says a memoir of my Hollywood years. And so this is when she's making movies. So both Julie Andrews' memoirs. It's really interesting to read. It's crazy how much she doubted herself the whole time. Like she felt like she wasn't that interesting or like she wasn't good enough or something when obviously she is. It's interesting seeing what goes on in people's heads. But the last one, it's religious, I guess, a Christian book. I got this for free. Actually, there was a box outside the library that said free books. So I got this one because back when the old days when I used to have a Tumblr, I followed J.S. Park, and so I recognized the name, and I picked this up, and it was really, I don't know how to explain it, but it's kind of, I have a lot of things underlined in here, as you can see. It was really impactful, and sometimes the way people in the church tend to do in general, but also particularly with Bible, like heroes of the faith, they tend to idolize people, or they demonize characters in the Bible. But this one it's just sort of the humanity of it, I guess, making it relatable, seeing yourself in David and seeing others in David and having compassion for the entirety of the life and making sure you're not, my stack just fell, not idolizing anyone or demonizing them, but also not, thinking self-righteously about yourself, but also not being too hard on yourself either. Having compassion on both yourself and others. It was a really nice book. It's not too long. As you can see, it's really a thin book, but there's a lot in it, and it was a really nice book. So that's it. That's a little quick show and tell of some of my books. So there was, The Life of King David by J.S. Park, and there's Homework by Julie Andrews, and Home also by Julie Andrews, and the Letters of Mozart edited by Hans Mersmann, but it's a collection of both letters from Mozart and to Mozart. So it's like a bunch of back and forth conversations. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. The Magical Worlds of the Lord of the Rings by David Colbert. I never know if it's Colbert or Colbert. The Other Bennet Sister by Janice Adlow. Very good. And 12 Poets by Assorted Poets, edited by Glenn Leggett. Yeah, so those are 8 books that I decided to share with you today. I might do another one of these. Let me know if you want another sort of show and tell of a bunch of books. But yeah, that's that. Thank you for watching, and hope it helped you fall asleep a little bit. I might read this one in the channel one day. The Letters of Mozart. I might try reading that on the channel someday, or this poetry one. I don't know. Let me know what you think, if you'd like any of these books to be read on the channel. Yeah, just let me know. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hope it helped you fall asleep.